um, we don't, uh, there's a local component to the funding, but that is provided mostly from the city of Midland and from the Midland County Road Commission. So we don't need any money from you. We need your time and to discuss various transportation issues within Matt's area.
I've never been accused of not being able to talk about things, so.
Perfect.
I was talking to the guy from the Ingersoll Township, and we said we'd take about 50% of your funds, and we're gonna do a trail, a bike trail that connects our two main towns.
Well, actually, it's interesting that you said that, because we are in the process of updating our non-motorized plan. So this is kind of our look at the potential future projects that we may want to do around here. So absolutely, if you have any input regarding that, we would love to hear that. And Brian, he just switched on his camera. He's the one in,
like maybe I missed the meeting or something, There we go. I don't know why I have
Screen's being funny. Your blue screen's reversed.
Yeah, I see that. That's pretty weird.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna prevent that.
You're just the embodiment of the surf, huh?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know how to do that right now.
Yeah, me neither. Baby steps, right? When we're learning all this stuff.
Baby steps, exactly.
Good morning, Mary and Brian. You hear me okay?
Yes, we do. Thanks for joining us.
There we go. All right. Well, you won't see me for very much longer anyway, so.
I'm gonna step away and grab my soda. I'll be right back.
Absolutely.
There we go. Hopefully everybody can see that.
Yes, we can.
Hey, Maya.
Good morning.
Hey, this is Maria. I may have to leave the call early because I have COVID, and they're supposed to call me at 9:30 or at 10:30 to give me instructions on what to do.
Oh,
Wow.
sorry to hear that. How are you feeling?
Like a truck ran me over.
Oh,
Holy cow.
Wow. We really appreciate you phoning in. Thanks.
You're welcome.
After 14 days of COVID, I'm finally clean.
Oh, good for you. Who is this?
Mike Wood.
Oh, good.
I suffered high fever every day.
Did you? I didn't. I've just had the cough and the low oxygen and just feeling horrible.
Right. I had low oxygen also. I stayed around 90 to 92 most of the time.
Did you have to go to the hospital?
I did go in to be checked for pneumonia and blood clots when I got at my worst. But it was just in and get all the blood work done and then come back home.
Yeah, they want me to go to the infusion center and get something called BAM. It's a new experimental drug.
Yeah, it just come out. I heard about it. I was too late to get it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they want me to, that's the 10 and 30 call that I've got to be on to see if I can qualify
So
for
you
it.
must have just very recently got diagnosed.
6 days ago.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah. I ran about 101 to 102 fever every day for a solid 7-8 days.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Horrible stuff.
What did
Headache.
they
And
give you? What'd they give you, Mike?
I got nothing.
That's what I thought.
There's they strongly encourage a strong vitamin regimen. Your vitamin C, D, and all of that. Take that daily. Lots of fluids, of course, and aspirin or Tylenol to keep the fever down. And basically, just unless you get real sick, sit home and suffer through it.
Everything just like the flu.
It is, but it is a lot.
Everything just like the flu.
It wouldn't go away. I've had the flu, believe me, and
Yeah, I have too in
just
65
like
years.
there's no doubt about it.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, Mike.
I am. I'm much better. Believe me, it takes a while, but one day you'll get up and suddenly it'll be gone.
Good.
Maya, this is Anita. I just need to step away for a minute, but I will be back.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Sorry about that. As soon as I stepped away, I got a phone call.
No worries. We haven't started yet.
If I may ask, is that an Eastern European accent?
Yes, it is. I'm Polish.
My grandparents were Lithuanian.
That's actually where my mom's family comes from originally.
I thought I detected the accent there. All right. Never been there. One of these days I'll get there. Maybe I can get somebody to appoint me a cush job as the ambassador to Lithuania or something. Thought my political experience here at the township level. I think I got 11 days under my belt now.
So Maya, we are in your hands as to when we have a quorum. So we do have 10 o'clock. But
I was just trying to check that. We have a really nice turnout. We have 18 people. But Brian, have you been checking?
I have, and I think we have 12 voting members, although I may have missed a couple of people.
So we definitely have quorum then.
all right. Well, hearing that, we will call the meeting to order since it's now 10:02. We appreciate everyone joining us. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And to some of you with, as you say, 11 days on your belt, welcome. Nice to have you aboard. So we will start then with the roll call.
All right. Let's see. Brad Kay,
Here.
Jonathan Myers,
Here.
Jim Lillo. Nope. All right. Dan Armentrout. Here. Anita Bauer. I know
You have
she's
to
here.
step Yeah, she's here.
Karen Murphy,
Here?
Gary Rogers,
Here.
Eric Sprague, Terry Holt,
Here.
Maria Sandow,
Here.
Kenneth Brown or Richard Keenan, Russ Varner, Mike Wood,
I'm here.
Kevin Ray,
Yeah, here.
Terry Hall.
Present.
Thank you. Kim Heisler,
Yes.
Dave Haig, Carl Hammond,
Here.
Will Butterfield, Rick Hayes. All right, that's it.
All right, so thank you. With those numbers, we do have a quorum, so we can proceed. I appreciate that. So we'll move then on to item number 2. Are there any changes to the agenda for today?
No changes.
All right. Always good to hear. Okay, move on. Item number 3 then, the approval of the October 6, 2020 minutes, which were provided in your packet. Are there any questions on that?
Yes, Brad, page 4, the motion to accept the tip. I don't know who Carl Gozen is.
Uh-oh,
Good
little
catch.
typo there.
So I don't know if Craig made the motion or the second, or if I did. I'm not sure.
We'll verify that and correct it.
Okay,
All right, nice catch. Thanks, Carl.
you're welcome.
Any other questions on the minutes? All right, hearing none, I would look for a motion then to adopt them as amended with that correction.
This is Karen Murphy. I will move to adopt.
Mike Wood will second.
So we have a motion to adopt as amended and corrected. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All right,
Aye.
And any opposed, the same. Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you. We'll then move on to the report of the officers, and we'll start with legislative and MDOT updates. We have MDOT back on with us?
Yep, I'm here. As far as, I actually don't have anything going on. I don't have any updates as far as the obligation authority. It's still December 11th as far as I know.
Okay. All right, well, short and sweet then. So thanks, Anita. Okay, we'll move on then to the agency reports. Item 5A is our administrative reports. And actually, Maya, I'll just let you kind of run through both those and the work task updates like you normally do. So please
Sure,
take it
thank
away.
Sure, thanks. The MAT's bank balance stands at approximately 75,000. We have just received PL reimbursements for fourth quarter of our fiscal year 2020. The asset management reimbursements are still they haven't been provided yet. I called in about that. But they should be coming in within the next 3 weeks or so. The MAT's audit it has been scheduled for January. We have to do an audit every 2 years. And we required to have it in by end of March. So that has been scheduled, so it'll be done on time. The meeting dates for calendar year 2021 have been compiled and have been provided to all of you. There have been no holidays that have fallen in on the either first Tuesday of a month or third Wednesday of a month. So no meeting dates had to be adjusted. Regarding our meetings in calendar year 2021, as of this moment, we're required to start in-person meetings in January, unless we receive other an update from the state and changes. We will continue to have a virtual way for everybody to connect to those meetings. I know everybody is concerned about COVID-19 and what's happening. So even though as of this moment we're required to have in-person meetings, everybody can still call in. The only requirement is that everybody who is calling in will have to state from where they are calling in.
So Maya, I'm hearing this morning that the House is taking up a new legislative action that'll extend the virtual meetings allowance until the end of March. And so I would expect that'll probably get through during this lame duck session. But at this point in time, obviously it's not in place just yet.
Yes. So we'll basically, once if that comes out, we'll update everybody as to what's happening.
And you don't require a motion to adopt this schedule, do you?
No,
Okay.
no, because we have already specified earlier that our meetings take place first Tuesday of the month for policy and the third Wednesday of the month for technical. That's our standard thing.
Yep. All right.
I appreciate the virtual meeting update because I know for MDOT folks, we got a notice we will not be going back to the office prior to March 1st. I'm assuming our section will be even later than that, but for MDOT as a whole, it will be not before March 1st. So that's a great update. Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely.
Maya, anything further you needed to cover?
All right, regarding work tasks that we have performed over the last 2 months, we have continued working on the long-range plan and the data required for the Great Lakes Bay Region travel demand model. We have done several administrative project changes to our transportation improvement program. Also, we have transmitted the TIP amendment that you have approved over the past couple of meetings, and that has been approved. We have been working on an update of our non-motorized plan. And also we are currently working on our end of calendar year reports that are required to be done by December, by end of December.
Very good. Do any members have questions for Maya on those? Terry?
The point of information, as I'm new at this, where do I sit? Since I was in the roll call, I assume I'm a voting member. Do I sit on any committees or tasks or?
All of them. Didn't we tell you that yet?
Yes, you are a voting member of a policy board. We do have a non-motorized subcommittee. So if you would like to participate in that, you're more than welcome. And then you're also welcome to participate in our technical meetings, even though Edenville Township is not one of the 3 township representatives on that board. But our meetings are open to everybody, and we welcome comments from all the agencies and public.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we had like a standing seat on some other committee or anything or what else. So, all right, no problems. Thank you. And yeah, if the board would like to put me on the non-motorized subcommittee, I'm more than willing to be there.
Awesome.
Thanks, Terry. Okay, any further questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on then to item number 6A. I take it this is an update since our elections are coming up in January of 2021 for the officers and representatives on the technical and planning or policy committees, I should say. So in part, just what we were talking about with you, Terry.
Yes, per our recent amendment of the bylaws and our attempt to synchronize elections of all the officers and representatives, we are going to have elections in January at both policy and technical meetings for all positions. So this basically is just a reminder about that, and really call for nominations for all those positions.
All right, anyone with questions on that? Okay, seeing none, we'll then move on to the TIP amendment. And again, this was provided in your agenda packet. Maya, are you taking this?
Yes.
Okay.
So the TIP amendment is relatively short. We only have 3 entries. 2 of them pertain to the same project. They pertain to PE and construction phases of the traffic safety project, which is installation of shoulder rumble strips on M20. The cost for those 2 phases, $12,000 for PE and just short of $97,000 for construction phase. And those 2 phases will be done in fiscal years 2021 and 2023. The third entry pertains to PE phase of a reconstruction of westbound US 10 lanes. It's a really, really huge project. The PE phase itself is about $5.5 million and will be done in year 2022. The construction phase for that, you don't see it yet. It's actually outside of our tip years because it will be done in year 2026.
Well,
So all 3 entries are new additions to the tip, and therefore they are in front of you for your approval. The technical board have seen those projects, and their recommendation is for your approval.
Hey, Maya, Jim Lalo, what are, I guess, I'm not sure, what are the limits for the US 10?
Yeah, Jim, that's a section, let me go look real quick, but 2023, we're starting the Bay County portion.
Right,
That's going to,
7 Mile, I believe.
yeah, it goes right up to the MPO limits. I forget, that's the dividing line. Maya, do you know what is that? Oh, it's not Garfield.
No, it's further on. It's
yeah, I'll double check for you, Jim, but that's where we're underneath the limits, because we were going to do that all at once, obviously, for that whole section. We're doing similar to we did eastbound.
Okay,
Well, we're still going through the meeting because that's the tip of my tongue, but I'll get it for you.
okay. Oh, the other thing too is you have mumble strips. Sorry for the pickiness.
No, you like that? It's still a rumble. I think they're being, it's
just quieter.
a mumble strip than a rumble strip. Yeah, I get a kick out of that.
Yeah, they're quieter than the rumble strips.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
That's literally what's in JobNet. It says mumble.
Mumble, it is. It's mumble. They changed the terminology to mumble. We all know the rumble strips.
I love it.
We'll ask MDOT to provide a correction to that.
to both of those, yeah.
Yes, yeah, we can't do that. It's MDOT staff that needs to do that.
I believe
We'll ask him to provide that correction.
I think that is actually correct. I think they have 2 separate things, a rumble and a mumble. I think they're 2 different things.
I thought they just renamed it.
It's done a little bit different.
So it's the depth. It's the depth. They're not as loud.
The depth and the width, and they are supposed to be quieter. So I think that was correct. They put that in there correctly because they're different.
Oh, I
Really?
didn't realize. Oh, okay.
Jim, and you thought it was a joke.
I am. I'm still taking it as one. What the hell?
I am too.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Okay, any further questions on the tip amendments?
I have one question, maybe somebody can answer for me. And I asked this question a year or so ago, and I still haven't got an answer, but there was a actual study done on US 10 from Bay City to Midland in approximately the 1980s. They actually did a test on it and they marked it all out in road strips and that, and they did a concrete study on the north side and an asphalt study on the south side. Does anyone know where that study is? I've been trying to find it for about 25 years and nobody in MDOT seems to know where it is. And I traveled that road for probably 6 years, back and forth from Sanford to Bay City. And I keep asking anybody, we did a study on it. They had the markers out there. They did different depths of concrete, different bases on it, and nobody seems to know where that's at. Do anybody on this board know how I can find that?
No, I'll put a call in right now and see where it's at if we have it.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'd like to read it.
Well,
thank you.
Never heard of that one, so.
Well, I've been here a while.
To the person that asked for the limits on that M20 project, it says Leeton Road to Meriden Road.
No, not M20. It's US 10. I'm sorry. It's our US 10, Anita. Westbound.
Job number 211731.
No, 21183.
Oh, 83. I'll get right back to you.
All right. So further questions on the tip amendment? Hearing none, we do need a motion for approval of this. Someone like to make a motion?
This is
I'll make-
Karen Murphy. This is Karen Murphy. I'll make a motion.
I'll second Terrence Hall.
Who did we get for second? I'm sorry.
Terry
Terry?
Hall. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Motion is in front of you. Any questions on the motion before we vote? Okay, hearing and seeing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And are there any opposed? Okay, that motion is carried. All right, item 6C, the 2021 STUL, whatever that one was, funding adjustment. So,
Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know that we had to adjust the federal funding for the possible road project from $600,000 to $591.83. That's because our actual allocation was actually lower than expected, and in order to be fiscally constrained, we had to adjust. Unfortunately, we had to adjust that project down. But we are fiscally constrained, and the road commission, they were okay with that. It's not affecting the ability to construct that project. The road commission would like that project to be a pro rata method of funding as opposed to cap method of funding as we do most of the projects. The pro rata method of funding will not affect any other projects. We do have a lot of STL carryover funds on our balance sheet. The approval rata method of funding needs to be needs to be approved by you, since normally we are cap.
Maya, can you just explain a little bit what the difference in the funding is and what, if anything, that means to us in our operations? I understand it doesn't affect others, but beyond that, is there any implications to that?
Not that I know of. Basically, the way it is, instead of when project is being obligated and then bid, and then once the actual construction starts and when the road commission will be submitting the invoices, instead of just going up to maximum of $591,083, if a project costs more, they'll be able to receive a little bit more federal funding if they're going pro rata. Not if there are any extra cost, not all of that extra cost will need to be paid from local funds.
Okay. All right, so the motion that you're needing then is a decrease in the cost by just a little under $9,000?
We don't need to do the decrease. We because of our allocation was less, we just had to do that. We just had to make that correction. The only action item is regarding approval of a pro rata method of funding.
Okay. All right, I'm clear on that now. Are there questions from the policy committee?
Do I qualify on that? I think I do, right?
Yep.
Just so I don't understand right, the pro rata basically means if there's cost overruns, they can bill for it, whereas the other way, if there's cost overruns, they can't. I guess I'm trying to understand. With
a pro rata, the cost overruns are on a pro rata basis. So in this case, this project is running about 52% federal, 48% local. So any cost overruns will be paid the same way, 52% federal, 48% local. With the cap method, if there are any cost overruns, they have to be paid 100% through local funds.
That makes sense.
All right, so
Hi, Maya, this is Dave Engelhardt. I just popped in and sorry, but I'm just catching the very end of this discussion. So maybe you've covered this, but there is a different strategy, whether you're capped or pro rata. In a pro rata situation, you almost want to try and maximize your 80-20% ratio. So if there is cost overruns, that 80% of that project cost will be covered by any additional expense. As opposed to the one you just described where it's, I don't know what you said, 40 or 50, 50 or whatever it was. If there was more federal funding to that project, let's say it was 80-20, 80% of any overages would have been covered by your carry forward balance.
okay.
Yeah, yes, and it's going to work similar, except our the split here is 52-48, but anything over this 591,000, if it needs to be covered, 52% will be covered out of a federal funds, and yes, from our carryover balance will be adjusted, and 48% from local funds.
So it's safe to say in this situation, they expect there to be cost overruns on this project.
They're at least hedging their
so.
bets.
And we have the money in case the cost overrun is to cover our 48%. I don't know, that's why I'm asking, I have no idea.
The Midland County Road Commission would be covering that out of their local funds, and I believe they have that. And John Myers can speak to that more.
Yeah, it's currently a little bit over budget. That's where we stand. So we kind of do anticipate that it would be around 100,000 over, which, you know, so you're looking at this point, we're anticipating about a 50,000 from the carryover and 50,000 from us.
And our carryover stands at approximately 1.6 million, so that can more than be covered out of that. And we cannot utilize our STL carryover funds by any other means. The only way to be able to spend down on it is through the projects running going pro rata. And if they go a little bit over, then that's the only way to be able to utilize those carryover funds. We cannot program another project separately regarding that.
Now, see, all of that said, you know, if you have $100, if the estimate for the project's $100, the idea is that you have the best estimate. So if the project's $100 estimate, and you only have $52 of federal allocation that's not in carryover, that's the reasoning for doing the 52-48. Now, if it goes over at time of obligation, if the last federal estimate that was approved was $100 and it goes over, let's say the latest estimate is $120. The last federally approved estimate was 100. If it goes to 130 at time of obligation, it will get rejected. It's going, because PI is not going to allow you to obligate more than 25% over the last federal approved estimate. So then it would require to come back to the group, an amendment would be needed. And you don't have more than the $52 of federal allocation.
Okay, thank you, Andy. That's what I was kind of trying to hint at, is what is our protection there? And so it sounds like there is a stopgap that you can't just keep going over and over.
Correct. You can only go up to 25% over. And then, yes, we're not going to stop the obligation. The idea is that we're not stopping a $100 project because of $25. You know what I mean? You don't want to stop $1 million project because you're short 25,000. So that would be allowed to go through. And you could continue with the pro rata amount provided you have the carryover. So Maya is correct on that piece of it. Now in the field, if there's change orders, that is where if it goes up by like 100,000, great. But if it's $100,000 project and it comes in at 200,000, that's going to get kicked back. So yeah, I assume you knew that.
No, I don't know nothing.
Well, and it does as a whole, you know, because this is coming up more and more in these small agencies. Saginaw had one also like this. As all the agencies do something like this and move away from the cap, which absolutely I want Midland to maximize their dollars, eat at the obligation authority. So in the end, there will be folks, this happened to Midland last year, I believe, or the year before, there wasn't any obligation authority remaining for one of the projects. And that will happen more and more, obligation authority to be used up sooner.
Okay, so yeah, based on Maya's recommendation and Anita's fill-in, I'm prepared to motion approval of the pro rata method of funding for the project.
This is John. I second.
Thanks, John. All right, any questions from the policy committee on the group, or sorry, on the motion before you? All right, if not, I assume everyone's ready for a vote, so we'll move to that. All those in favor of the motion before you indicate by saying aye.
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 And any opposed, the same? Okay, that is carried. Thank you. All right, we'll move to 6D, which is a non-motorized planning NMT plan update. I know we have Thor on the call here as well. Maya or Brian, you taking that to lead, or is Thor going to run with it?
I will. I usually do anyway.
All right.
So yes, we have been updating the NMT plan. Our non-motorized plan was originally done in 2015, and we're hoping that in early 2021, we'll have the update complete. We've had 2 meetings so far of the non-motorized subcommittee. Last meeting we had was really good, lots of great discussion, and we've had a pretty good number of suggestions, comments, suggestions for edits and so on and so forth. So we're working on those consistently. I've got a couple of Zoom meetings scheduled this week with local agencies to flesh out and clarify the list of upcoming proposed projects. And then we'll get all that stuff mapped and clarified, get all the changes made. And hopefully, I think in January, we'll probably have another NMT subcommittee meeting. I think we were aiming for December, late December originally. I don't know that we'll make that, but January we'll have another one, and then shortly thereafter we'll bring it through the committees for approval. So that's where we're at with that.
Okay.
Hey, Brian, Dave Engelhardt again. I know in the past there was the Great Lakes Bay Region non-motorized group
Yep.
that tried to pull together the 3 counties, Bay, Saginaw, and Midland. And I know BCAT's Bay County or Bay City has sort of updated their plan. I think Saginaw is in the works. Is that group functional still? I guess I'm sort of out of the loop in that. And the goal is to have, adjacent connectivity, so to speak.
Yeah, I have been in touch with Rob Eggers. We've had a couple of email exchanges. I've sent him the most recent draft for comments, and I believe we're going to talk. I think it's either later this week or early next week. That's it. Yeah. So that's definitely one of our topics for discussion, and we're going to try and kind of integrate what we can here of that.
Okay, just like I said, I haven't seen that much action on that group anymore. I know there's a lot of action more in Saginaw, more along Tittabawassee and stuff like that. Just asking the question. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Dave. Any other questions for Brian on this one? Okay.
Very
Seeing-
speaking. Again, I just would ask to have Brian put me on his list so I can be part of that January meeting for the NMT.
Absolutely. You are now.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, we can move on then to 6E, which is the Matt's long range plan. And which one of you's leading that? Looks like Maya,
Bill.
you're gearing up.
Yep, that's back to me. We have completed the review of future socioeconomic data for Matt's area. That data is needed to be able to run the Great Lakes Bay Region travel demand model. So we looked at the 2025, 2035, and 2045 population estimates, occupied households estimates, retail employment data, service employment data, and other employment data. And we have made some corrections. We have talked to several agencies, townships, and cities about the data, and took their input and in the as when we were correcting the data. So we have completed that. What you have in front of you are the final numbers, and those numbers require your approval in order for the SUTA to move on and input that data into the model. So what you have in front of you are basically the summaries for each jurisdiction, by year, by each category. And at the bottom, you see what the resulting percentages are regarding growth and decline within each category. That data has been reviewed by the technical committee and has been approved by them with a recommendation for your support of that data.
Maya, I have a question that maybe somebody has already looked into or thought of. How can we predict the populations that far out when we're not too sure of a lot of issues in the two counties, Gladwin and Midland?
It's tough, but we do need to make some assumptions, and we looked at various sources. MDOT provided us some of their projections and some of the projections from sources that they use, and we kind of incorporated all of that and came out with our best guess estimates. I mean, it's all projections. There's no questions about it, but we need to do that in order to be able to move on. Okay. Nobody has a crystal ball, right? But that's our best guess, and we were being actually relatively conservative. As you see, the growth rates relatively low and relatively flat, and we believe that we are within the ballpark of what will happen. We do also update the long range plan every 5 years, so we will go through this exercise 5 years from now. So it's not like we do this every 30 years. We do it every 5 years. So if things change in 5 years, we'll incorporate that.
Okay, because I think that we'll see some changes in the next few years. And I won't make a projection, but I just know that there's going to be changes.
And we did take into account the flooding and what happened with the dams breaking down. We did take that into effect.
Okay, thank you.
At the end of the day, not a whole lot different really than the census. We get an accurate count every now and then we project in between, and we keep adjusting on the fly. So yeah. It's a lot of crystal ball gazing and doing the best that you can, really, quite frankly, with all of this. All right, so we do need a motion for approval of the data, and you did say the technical committee has reviewed it, recommended it for approval. So we have that leading to the recommendation today. So who would like to make a motion for that?
I'll move to accept the data as presented.
Thanks, Carl.
Carl Hammond.
Do we have support?
I'll second that.
Okay, thanks, Kim.
I will.
All right, I got Kim for that. All right, any questions on the motion before you? All clear? All right, everyone looks like they're all right. We'll move forward. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All right.
Aye.
And any opposed to the motion indicate the same. That is carried. So our final action item is 6F, which is a reaffirmation of support for the NHS bridge condition 4-year targets. So.
Yes, let me explain that. You have supported the updated bridge 4-year targets 2 months ago. In our discussion 2 months ago, I have used the phrase calendar year 2022 updated 4-year targets, and MDOT and I prepared a resolution with that phrase. MDOT came back to me and asked us to come back to the policy and reaffirm those targets. Those are the targets haven't changed. The update targets haven't changed, but they ask us to use the phrase updated NHS bridge condition 4-year targets without using anywhere there calendar year 2022. So I have redone the resolution that your support is for 23% for percent deck area in good condition and 8% of deck area in poor condition. So the approval is for reaffirmation of those adjusted 4-year targets at 23% and 8%.
So Maya, just to be clear, so we had adopted the 23 and 8 before, correct? So
2
it
months
really
ago,
is
yes.
just the first resolve paragraph, the language is a little bit adjusted, correct?
Yes, so the only thing that has changed is we reference those adjusted targets as calendar year 2022, calendar year 2022, and that's not quite correct. Those are just MDOT asked us to call them adjusted 4-year targets.
So the updated NHS bridge condition 4-year targets is the language now in the resolution. All right.
Yeah, Maya, forgive me, I should know this better, but is it something where the 4-year targets is for 18, 19, 20, and 21? And I think because it said 22, that's why it wasn't correct, because it's outside of that 4-year window. Is that why?
It's
I rescind my question.
Yeah, in MDOT.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yes, but they are being reported in calendar year 2022, and in the previous presentations by MDOT, the year 2022 was there, so therefore I use that. But yes, technically what they are, those are the 18, 19, 20, and 21.
Okay.
But they are being reported in 2022.
Gotcha.
All right. So at the end of the day, though, this is really a technical correction to the resolution, not changing policy at all in terms of maths. So.
Okay, this has nothing to do with, it has no bearing on what happened in the last 6 months, correct, Brad?
Doesn't change anything, no.
Okay,
Right.
with the conditions of the bridges that were destroyed and rebuilt.
Yeah, these I'll defer to Maya or perhaps Anita, but again, these are the updated bridge condition targets. So these are the targets moving forward as opposed to current conditions. Is that correct?
Yes, and these refer to the targets on the NHS network. These do not take into account local bridges.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Okay.
Thank you.
Further questions, Terry?
Yeah, just for clarification, because like I said, my learning curve is great here. Am I interpreting this graph properly when it says that instead of allowing 7% of our bridges to be bad, we're going to increase the number of poor bridges we can accept to 8%?
That's correct.
Why would we do that?
because otherwise we will not meet those targets. We won't be even close to meeting those targets. Originally, the targets were set in 2018, and they were set for 2 years and for 4 years. In 2020, there has been review done of all the bridges as to where they stand in terms of good condition and poor condition. And what has happened, the actual condition was actually worse than that was anticipated. So therefore, the decision was made at MDOT to adjust the 4-year targets downwards, because it's just not realistic that those conditions are going to will be improved across all all NHS bridges across the state, given what that they are actually going down. That they have gone down in the last couple of years in terms of their condition.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, and I see that the numbers are lower than the initial proposed. We'll accept 10% of our bridges falling apart. So I can take 8, but in the future, from me, I'm going to be like, no, that poor number needs to go down. So, but other than that, I just wanted to make sure I knew what we were talking about.
Yeah. The problem is that, obviously over time, if nothing is done, the conditions deteriorate. There's only so much money available to be able to correct it. And in lieu of how many miles area there are on NHS system, there is just not enough to be able to correct that deterioration. That's what's happening.
I understand that, but just for me sitting here, I find it hard to have to tell my neighbor that it's acceptable to me that 1 in 10 bridges are falling apart, and that's okay. That's what I'm saying. In the future, I'm going to have an issue with this, but I'm not going to rock the boat now.
Okay.
So, but I think that the word needs to get out, because it's unrealistic due to the lack of budgeting. So it's not unrealistic. It just ain't properly budgeted for at the state level. So, but anyways, I'm not trying to get into a thing here, but I'm just going to tell you my position is 10% of the bridges that my son could fall through when he drives on is not acceptable for me.
I don't think you're accepting it. It's similar to the safety targets. It's not acceptable to have 900 deaths. It's not an aspirational goal, obviously. It's doing the best that we can. And even in the long range plan, I think that's part of the discussion that's in there is what your strategies are in terms of improving the current conditions with the funding and resources that you have. What strategies do you use? So no, I think we all hear that. All of us, I don't want my kids around that.
I don't want to be falling off a bridge.
Exactly.
And I'm an old guy.
I don't think these are necessarily saying you're going to be falling through 8% of the bridges. It's just that the surface condition is in poor shape.
I get it. It's a way of identifying the future projects in the roads. I'm sure there's a parameter set that says it'll be considered a poor bridge within so many years. So let's get it on the schedule to get it repaired.
Mm-hmm.
No, I understand that. But whenever we revision and we increase our expectation of a greater number of poor things, and we reduce our expectation up into a lesser number of good things, I really don't think that's something that we should always just go along and get along with. But I understand, and like I said, I'm taking up too much time. I'm in favor. I'm going to pass this. I just wanted, for my clarification, to let you guys know where I stand.
And I don't know if everyone noticed, Jay, I know in the comments in the chat box, it indicated that the condition of the Zahwaukee Bridge in particular has an outsized impact on these numbers as well. But
what a wonderful bridge.
Just not condition. All right, further questions on that? I don't think I have a motion on the floor for that, so I do need a motion for reaffirmation of the support for these particular targets. Do we have a motion for that purpose?
I'll make that motion there, Brad.
Thanks,
Carl
Carl.
Hammond.
And
Yep.
Mike Wood will second.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Any final questions on the motion before you? All right. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 And any opposed, the same. All right, I see none. So that takes us down to our public comments. Do we have anybody on the line that would like to make public comments? All right, I don't see any of that either. So that takes us down to adjournment. So thank you all. We appreciate you joining us. Our next meeting is not until January, correct, Maya? January 5th?
Yes, January 5th is our next meeting.
All right, so that means we won't see any of you before Christmas. So I wish you all a happy holidays and hopefully a healthy time of year for all of you. And Mike, I hope you're feeling better. Somebody tried to jump in there. Did I miss somebody?
Yeah, it's Jay. I just want to follow up a couple items.
Yep.
I put in the chat, those limits for the US 10, it's 7 mile to the railroad bridge just before the split for the business route.
Okay, thank you.
2026 construction. And then Carl, I want to follow up. I sent a couple emails out. I think a study referring to is the one done in the 90s. They were looking at the pavement types because remember they had concrete out there and asphalt. So they monitored that for 15 years. I just contacted someone down in construction field services to see if we have a digital or a paper copy somewhere of that. And if I get that, I'll send that on to Maya and she can send it on to you. But I think that's what you're referring to. I remember that one.
Yes, thank you. I asked that question several times over the last few years and nobody seemed to understand what I was talking about. I said, I traveled that
When
road.
you said that, it rung a bell because I remember that. Grew up in Freeland. That was that pavement section they did.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons we're going back out is that we've got a concrete section with a concrete overlay in a portion and it's all coming out to go to all concrete.
Yeah, the north side was concrete, and the south side was asphalt.
Yep, and that gave us kind of the guideline for what we want to do out there for fixes, and what the long-term benefits would be. And it's, it was an experimental study to see what. So for
I remember. Thank you. I appreciate that, Jay.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate the follow-up on that, and hopefully you'll be able to get your hands on that finally then. So
I appreciate that. Yes.
All right. Well,
And
again,
thanks for asking, Brad. I have recovered fully, so I'm in good shape finally.
that's good. I'm glad
to hear that, Mike.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, again, everyone enjoy their holiday season. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you all soon. See you back at least in January.
Happy holidays.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Adjourned.